You're probably here because you're finding it a little bit difficult in finding your way about leadership, finding your way on how to manage people well, and finding your way on how to grow your business as an entrepreneur. Any one of these things are the topics that we cover. I'm your host, Sean C., aka Mr. CEO at 22. I am so glad that you took the first step of being here to learn more about leadership, entrepreneurship, and management because the world needs more people like you. We will help you to invest in yourself because that's something that is worth doing. That is something that is worth learning. If you have questions about entrepreneurship, maybe you're having problems at work or you're having some leadership problems or managing other people, boy, I have news for you. We have what we call a masterclass. Most of the courses in the masterclass deal with how you can generate revenue online. It deals with leadership, how to lead in crisis, how to break through the crisis in business, in entrepreneurship, and how you can manage other people better. Now, I always say the best kind of investment is an investment in yourself. And how much money are we charging for this masterclass? Not a lot. And if you invest in one, it's yours to keep. And if it doesn't, I'll refund you, no questions asked, full refund. So why don't you try it out? Head on over to sean.c/masterclass and check out any one of the courses if it fits any one of the questions in your head. And if you have any questions, you can just put it on the comment section and we'll get in touch with you. We want to know who you are and we want to hear from you. Until then, keep leading.
All right. Hello. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We are starting again with our Leadership Stack Live. And for tonight, it's just me, no guest, because we want to keep some of the shows a continuous AMA between me and the community. And I want to be able to answer your questions about leadership, entrepreneurship, and management as best as I can. Last week, we had Mr. Randall Cheongson, and he just finished his Icon 2021, which is a huge success. And they got a lot of OFWs as well tuned in, people from all over the world and from different provinces in the Philippines in that conference. We also have a couple of new episodes on the show on Spotify. So this week we published 2 episodes so far. That is finding the right mentors and guidance in business, which is super duper important. I cannot stress enough how important that is. Finding the right mentors to help you level up and consequently level up your entire business, your entire company. Recently, I've had the privilege of being mentored by the president of one of the biggest companies in the country, and I learned a ton from this person. I'm so grateful, and it's helped me to reevaluate and rethink how we are doing our promotion scheme in SEO Hacker, how we are leveling people up, how people can aspire to higher levels of roles in the team. We also have keeping your ego in check as a leader. You know, leadership and being an entrepreneur sometimes can get to your head, and it's dangerous when that happens because ego gets in the way. Ego gets in the way of growth. Ego gets in the way of change. Ego gets in the way of encouragement. And it's difficult and dangerous for your ego as a leader to just get in the way of you, get in the way of your success. So I talk about that with our guest, Mr. Steve Rogers. That's with a D. He is not Captain America, but it makes for a very, very interesting podcast. So he's a guy who spent a good deal of time working for Warren Buffett in the US, and he's worked with the guy. He's seen him face to face as well. So check it out. We've had over 215 episodes. We have over 200 episodes on the podcast already. That's a lot of episodes that we've published so far since we started pre-pandemic July 2019. Hope you guys are learning. Hope you guys are enjoying. And we also have our YouTube channel. The link is down below, leadme.ph/YouTube. If you want to watch the episodes, binge watch it. We've gotten some comments about people binge watching the episodes. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you helping with sharing the content and just subscribing, hitting the thumbs up button. That goes a long way for us. And I hope that you're getting value with the YouTube videos. We also have an up and coming webinar. We haven't finalized the date yet, but it's most probably going to be on third week of July. The PowerPoint presentation is done. I am going to speak live in that webinar, and if you want to join that webinar, I am going to send out an email blast. So if you are not yet subscribed to my email newsletter, you can by going to my website, sean.c/ideas, or sean.c/book. You could subscribe there for free and get chapter 1 of my book CEO at 22 as a PDF download as well. So, Patrick Miguel says, good evening. Hello, hello. Another day of learning. Yes, I'm excited as well for the questions, and thank you for being here on YouTube. From Nino, will this session be on Clubhouse? I haven't prepped for it, but I could. I'm not sure. Look, I'm not sure how well it's working for me thus far, being on Clubhouse and having the Clubhouse room open on my phone while doing the show. I would love to hear from you guys how you're seeing it. So I've opened a Clubhouse room, and you could join the Clubhouse room right now if you want to talk with me there, audio. Let me just look for the link. There you go. Yeah, I think that is it. Yeah, leadme.ph/club. That takes you to the Leadership Stack Clubhouse channel, where I just opened a room. So if you want to talk or chat after the show, you're very welcome to do that with me. I don't have a guest right now, so I could spend some time talking with you guys on Clubhouse if you want. So Nino is here. I'm seeing you there. Thanks for joining me here, Nino. And yeah, we could wait for more people to come in, and I'll just keep the room open while we're doing the Q&A. So, first question, how can I know if a product has demand? One easy way to know is to use SEMrush. That's what I use. Or you can use Google Trends, which is also free, or Google Keyword Planner, which is also free. So if you have a Google account, you could use that and put in the keyword of the product. For example, if you're selling titanium mugs, you could put that in and check how many people here in the Philippines or Metro Manila are searching for that keyword. The keyword volume will pop out. That gives you a pretty good idea how much demand a certain product has. Or for example, right now I'm doing a lot of road biking, so you could search for gear set, road bike gear set, and the search volume returns. If it's like 1,000 search volume upwards, I'd say that's a pretty good keyword. And you could also see how competitive the keyword is, how many people are ranking for it, are bidding for it on SEM or search engine marketing, which is the pay-per-click model of Google, where they really make money. And you can gauge product demand from there. Google Trends would help you to know if something is just a fad or if it's sustainable. So from Google Trends, if the chart is not that great, then it's not sustainable. Actually, we have time. Why don't I just take you to Google Trends right now and show you how that works. So we are going there, Google Trends. If I search for road bike gear set, for example, and Philippines past 12 months, sure, we'll know the demand for the product if it has increased or not based on the chart here. Sub-region, not enough data apparently. Okay, so I would have to refine this to perhaps the brand. Shimano, Dior, XT, sure. Yeah, I could try that one. That's the name of a particular gear set that is pretty popular here right now. And we got the search volumes coming in. So in the Philippines, you can see Cagayan Valley has a lot of interest for that. Metro Manila would be fifth. And you can see that it's not a fad because the search trends is pretty consistent over the year, has good search volume. So that is one really good way to know um, if a product has good demand. Hope that helps and hope I answered the question for you. What are the pros and cons of importing products into the country versus getting it manufactured here? Well, if you're getting it manufactured here, I'd say that's very good because local pride and we need it for the economy. But truth be told, we don't have a lot of manufacturing companies here in the Philippines, and the reason behind that is the very expensive utility costs. Electricity here in our country is one of the most expensive. Um, we're one of the most expensive countries for electricity, and if you're a manufacturer, that's not going to go well for you because you need power, you need electricity, and you're going to use up a lot of it. So electricity being very expensive in our country, that just means we're not really a big manufacturing country, which we are not. So we don't get a lot of stuff manufactured here. On the other hand, we are very close to China. So a lot of companies here in our country actually import a lot of the goods. And Lazada and Shopee has actually paved the way for us to remove the middleman in the equation and go straight and buy from the manufacturing country, which is China. And that's why you see a lot of products in Lazada and Shopee. They're shipped from China or Hong Kong, and yeah, you can buy it straight and you can buy it cheaper if you know what you're doing. So the middlemen, which are some big companies here, I'm not gonna name those brands, but I know a lot of them. What they do is really they import a ton of those stuff. They call it MOQ or minimum order quantity for them to be able to get it at a very good price. They ship it via sea in a large container. They put it in their warehouse here. Then they sell it via distribution channels. Often it's through the malls like SM and Philinvest malls, Ayala malls out there, and that helps them get rid of the inventory fast because malls have had a lot of foot traffic before. So yeah, if you're someone who plans on starting a business of trading, manufacturing it here might not be a great option when you weigh in the very expensive electricity costs that we have. Yeah, so importing might be the way to go, but then also Lazada and Shopee opening up and directly selling to people here in the country, to consumers here in the country, and just punching through the middlemen, I think it might be a tough business. That's what I think. But people who have established brands here, even if they're importing it from China and rebranding them here, I think that they still have a pretty solid foundation when the pandemic is done and they want to sell in the malls again. For a new business, should I buy bulk orders of a product and sell it, or should I get a small batch first? I think we should all start with small things first, because if you risk too much too soon and turns out to be the wrong thing, it's just going to break you. I mean, that's really it. That's going to be too risky. That's going to just eat up your capital. So I have shared this time and again that the lean startup method is one of the best ways to do things, which is starting small. And Eric Rice, who authored the book, actually said that you should have the minimum viable product or the MVP and get a fast feedback loop going for you. Try to sell the MVP, the prototype, put in a tag price, whatever you think it would sell good for. If people say it's too expensive or it's too cheap, then you calibrate. What's important is the feedback that you get at the beginning. You learn from that, you iterate, you improve the product, you improve the pricing, you get to know your target market better. And then if you have enough data, that is when you double down on getting a bigger batch of products of whatever it is that you plan to sell. That's how I do it. That's how I'd say you should do it. And for a lot of companies, it has worked out very well. Question from Nino: in starting a business, do you want to bootstrap or receive funding? I personally prefer bootstrapping. I have found that the best companies to fund or to ask fund for are also bootstrapped companies. No one likes investing in a company that requires investment to live and grow. I don't think that's the case. I think investors would invest in a company that has a good track record, that has been able to survive on its own when it was starting up, that has a management or leadership team or a founding team that's really, really good. They know what they're doing, they can survive and grow and move fast with a limited amount of resources. Resourcefulness is more important than resources when you're starting a business. Resourcefulness in Tagalog is discarte. That's very, very important. In fact, even when you're an employee and you're playing for a team, having good resourcefulness or having good discarte is very, very important. And investors also look that in the founding team. Are they resourceful? Do they have discarte? Or kung wala, then the investment will not be that great. You would need to let go with a lot more equity to get more funding. So I'd say if you could bootstrap, always do it bootstrap, because that way you also learn everything. Literally, I would clean the toilet when I was starting out. You know, those are jobs that I had for myself as the entrepreneur, because I didn't have a janitor. I didn't have someone who will be able to help me clean the office. So I cleaned it myself. I didn't ask for my employees back then to do it for me, because that wasn't their job. They could help out if they wanted, but apparently not a lot of them did. So I would do it myself. And what's important is when you're growing as a business and you're growing as an entrepreneur is you quit those jobs. You have to quit being the janitor. You have to quit being the writer. You know, in SEO, you have a lot of writing going on, you have a lot of link building going on, marketing going on. So I quit all of the jobs that I wasn't good at. I suck at. So I suck at keeping things clean and organized. So I had to quit that early on. And for me to be able to quit these jobs and focus on what I'm really good at, which is sales and strategy, I had to grow the revenue. And thank God, one of the things that I'm really good at is making sales during that time. So as the sales grew and we got more revenue, and I quit more jobs that I had within the company. I quit being the janitor. I quit being the accountant. I quit being the legal advisor, and I hired an accounting team and I hired a legal team, and they took on the job for me. You know, so as you grow as a business, you, the founding entrepreneur, you have to quit a lot of jobs that you're not really good at. That's what I did. That's how we grew. And I wouldn't be able to do that if we were funded. I would only be able to do that if we were bootstrapped. And because I was able to experience all of those things, I would say that I knew how to do those jobs well, and I knew what losing looks like within that certain job. I knew that if the accounting balance sheet did not tally, that's what losing looks like. And that's what a sucky accounting firm would look like for me, right? So I would fire them if that was the case. But if you didn't take on that job, how would you know what winning and losing looks like? You just don't know. You're just going to have to trust them that they have your best intentions at heart. And when you're starting up, that's not always the case. In fact, even when you're big enough, that is not always the case. So I would say bootstrap is still going to be the best way to go, because you get to learn all of these little but important things, and that's going to keep your company afloat, because you, the owner who is investing your own blood, sweat, and tears in the business, you get to protect your business from people who would steal from it. You know, people would steal money from it, people would steal time. Time is also money. In fact, a lot of people say time is gold, meaning it's more important than money. And people would just steal that from you. And people who steal time from you, those are also people who could steal money from you. Those are people who would not have your best interests at heart. So For those of you who are starting your own businesses right now and you're looking at some of your people and you're saying, they need a break, so they're doing Facebook, they're doing Twitter on company time, that's fine. I want you to know that's not fine because they're stealing money from you. Unless it's part of their job and what they're doing is really part of their job, that's not okay. Because that what they're doing is stealing money from you and the company. And if they could steal time and money from you by wasting time on social media, I'd bet they'd steal more things given the chance. So you have to rethink your strategy in managing your employees if you're allowing those things right now. Okay. Next question. What are the advantages of a reseller business? Well, the advantages, mostly it depends on the reseller business that you got. So if you're a consigner, you got a lot of advantage because you don't need to pony up capital at the get-go. You just sell and get a part of the profit. But if you're an outright reseller, that means you buy the inventory outright. That's a lot more risk for you. But if you're confident about the product that is going to sell well, buying it outright is better because it's cheaper. You get to have a better deal when you're going to buy everything. So going back to my example earlier, if I'm going to be selling titanium mugs and I'm sure it's going to sell well, and I have a supplier, maybe the manufacturer is supplying me, or I import it from China. If I buy it outright in bulk, I get a much bigger discount, which means if I resell it, I could sell it at a bigger profit margin. But if I am a consigner, what that means is I don't buy it outright. I just display it in my shop or I just sell it online. Usually that means you're a drop shipper. And you get a smaller percentage of the sales, but that's a lot less risk for you still because you don't need to pony up that capital to buy a lot of the items. So there are a lot of advantages if you're just reselling. I'd say if you're starting out, go for the consignor route because it's a lot less risky and you get a better idea of what things you could sell well and what things is pretty slow for you. I'm not sure if the question is going to be compared to anything because it doesn't say there, but maybe one of the ways to look at the question is what are the advantages of a reseller business versus starting your own brand and selling your own products. Starting your own brand and selling your own products, that's an uphill climb. But when you are on the top of the hill, then that hill is protecting you from competition because you got your brand going on for you if you're able to do it well. So there are pros and cons. The longer game would be starting your own brand and starting your own product lines. That's definitely the longer game. That's a lot more profitable if you got things going good for you, but it's also a lot riskier. It's a lot riskier. From, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. I might just butcher it. Freud, LM. Frio, LM. I think it's Frio. Hi, sir. May I ask when's the best time to know that you need to hire people already? The best time is number one, when you have the budget. I mean, when you don't have the budget, you can't hire them, right? Because you're gonna lose money. So you have to make sure that you got budget. You have to make sure you have the money, you have that revenue coming in that's gonna be sustainable for you to pay them, pay for their salary, their benefits, whatever. That one has to be checked for sure. Number two, if you have a job that you must quit doing as your business grows. So I mentioned earlier that I had to quit being the janitor, I had to quit being the accountant, I had to quit being the legal team, I had to quit being the writer, I had to quit a lot of my jobs when I was starting out as a freelancer and then focusing on leadership, focusing on sales, which are the things that I really need to do. Those are the things that I must do and only I can do them. So when you get this realization that you have to go and do that and be the best you can be the best CEO you can be the best founder you can be, and focus on things that you're really good at, you're going to want to start to hire people to fill up that gap where you're weak at that you have to quit in. And that can only be possible if you're making more sales. If you're not making more sales, if you're not closing more deals, if your revenue is not increasing, that's not going to be possible for you. You're always going to be working that job, and you might not really like it, but you got to do it. That's because sales is not good. It's not coming in. Hope I answered that question. Hey, Vian, good evening. Thanks for being here again tonight. Would love to have you in Clubhouse. Who's at Clubhouse right now? All right. Clubhouse link would be leadme.ph/club. So if you guys are in Clubhouse after the show, I'll be there. Nino's there. We'd love to chat with you. And yeah, see where it goes. We have another question. I am interested in starting a business that I see is popular in other countries. Okay. However, I have not seen the trend take off in the Philippines. How should I know? How do I know if I should take the risk? Okay. I'm gonna go back to the Eric Rice lean startup model. I'm not gonna reinvent the wheel. That's worked well for me and a lot of people. First off, maybe you want to buy one or two of that product or business, whatever it is. If it's a product business, buy a thing or two, or maybe 5, 10 samples, have it shipped here in the Philippines. There's a lot of services that you could use to be able to do that, and they would ship it right at your doorstep. However, I have not taken the you've not seen the trend take off in the Philippines. I think a lot of people might also be trying to see if that's going to take off in the Philippines, and it might just not be you. I want to do some research on Google if there are forums already here in the country that talk about it. Maybe Reddit has a forum about it. I don't know. But if you want to do your own research, definitely buy a sample size of that product. Could be 5, could be 10. And you go around your circle of influence and ask them, hey, would you buy this for this price? This is what it does. Is it something you're going to buy if you had the money now? If they say no, you might not have a great product that is, the market might not that be ready for that product. If they say yes, if a lot of people say yes, then you have some good thing going on. And you move forward to people you don't really know that well, and you ask them as well. So from friends, or from family to friends to acquaintances to maybe strangers, if you have the guts to just go in front of a stranger and ask them about it, that's going to give you a lot of data to work with, a lot of research to work with, and you would have a lot less risk to deal with when you finally decide that it's the right time for you to buy it in bulk and sell it here. Hope that helps, and hope that answers the question. Got another question. Hi, sir. May I ask when's the right time? Okay. My business having 6-figure net profit a month. Great. That's really great for you. Glad that's going on for you. Should I spend now on hiring people or on ads? By the way, I'm a huge... Oh, thank you. I'm glad that you're here and this thing is helping you out. This is a work of love. You can help share the podcast. That'd be amazing. 6-figure net profit a month. That's not so bad. I think you should hire people. If it's just about freeing up more of your time, at least, definitely go hire someone. I think I made 6-figure net profit a month on my, I don't know, second year of doing business. Probably somewhere second year or third year of doing business. So I think that you got something really good going on for you here. Definitely hire those people who will help you to be able to do work that you're not really great at. And I know I have a lot of work I'm not really great at, and I hire people who are better than me. Right now at SEO Hacker, a lot of people, almost all of them, are better than me in where we place them in the company at what they do. And I'm only really good at what I'm doing, which is sales and leadership, and that's it. So yeah, definitely do that. Get those people coming in. Now, hiring is another thing altogether that you have to be good at, because you don't want to hire just about anyone. You don't want just about anyone to get into your house. And hiring is like that. You get them, you put them in your house, and you tell them, here's your KPI, here's what's going to make me happy, here's what winning looks like for this job role that I'm giving you, and here are the keys to the house, and I'm trusting you with it. So if you hire the wrong person, that house is gonna burn. I have experienced that more times than I'd like to admit, and it's not good. I wasn't happy with those experiences. So I wrote about our hiring process, SEO Hackers hiring process, in a book called 50x Your Business. That's on Amazon right now, and you can get it for the price of two Starbucks coffees. Yeah, that's how cheap it is. Not really thrilled about the price, but I am thrilled when I realize it is helping a lot of business owners grow their businesses right now. So, yeah, you might want to grab a copy of that and read the part hiring and firing and building a great company culture. That's going to help you out a ton. Next question: how can I become a reseller or distributor of a certain product? I don't think it's hard. You just need to contact the principal and ask them, what would it take for me to be a reseller of your product or a distributor of your product? But if you ask them, what would it take for me to be the exclusive distributor of the product in the Philippines or in another country, then that's a different question altogether, because they're going to demand for you to sell a certain volume, which if you don't sell that volume, for example, you have to sell 500,000 pieces of this product because you're the exclusive. If you don't reach that certain volume, then you can't be exclusive. And there are other people who will be also distributing alongside you. You're going to compete with each other. The game is hard enough. The game of selling a product is hard enough. It makes it a lot more difficult when you're selling the exact same product with a lot of other people. So this is why a lot of big businesses who have the capital and deep pockets to fund being exclusive distributor, they definitely go that route. They really try becoming the exclusive distributor because of the fact that the game is much easier to play that way, but you have to move hundreds of thousands of pieces of those products, which would be a challenge because you need to sell them nationwide. You have to have the distribution network, the advertising channel, the marketing channel set up, and so on and so forth. It's a tough game. But being a reseller or distributor, I don't think that's tough. I think that's as easy as sending an email or calling their head office and cutting a deal with them. Have a single product and have already established a brand, yet I want to pivot and expand to a similar segment. Should I pursue it with my current brand, or would it be better to establish a different business or brand for that expansion? I would say if you've maximized the market for that single product that you have already established, then you may want to pivot and expand to a similar segment. If it's a similar segment, it must be a segment where you're comfortable with, where you are also quite known in. So it might be easier for you to expand. I'd say it's safer for you to expand that way. Um, and if it is a similar segment, definitely pursue it with your current brand. Don't use a different brand, because having so many brands under your wing, unless you have a very smart reason for splitting the brands off from each other, it's going to entail another huge investment for you. So it's going to be different ads, different big ideas, different campaigns, a different team. You should have a different team for different brands. It's going to double all of the expenses that you put in from your first brand. And if it's a similar segment, I don't see the reason why you should go for another brand. Just expand it using the same brand. I think that is the smart way to go. Okay. How do businessmen predict upcoming trends and make a business out of it? So I showed earlier Google Trends. If you weren't here, for those of you watching on different channels, if you weren't here earlier when I showed Google Trends, this is it. So you could put in anything here. For example, you could put in I don't know, but sunglasses, right? I've been following this brand for a while. Yeah, not a lot of searches, but let's just say sunglasses. There you go. So if you're doing business, you know that sunglasses is not a fad. The trend is pretty stable at this number of searches each month. Got a lot from Mindanao, Visayas, Northern Mindanao. Metro Manila comes sixth. So yeah, Google Trends, definitely. This is free. You could use it 100%. Put in your queries there, and you get a lot of ideas of what product would be sellable and if the trend is a fad or not. Next question. At the moment, the platforms that I am operating on are Facebook and Instagram. And I paused the production of my product since I want to further improve and optimize it. So basically, I'm back to R&D when I open the business. Should I build a website or should I stick to these platforms and build the website later on? I think this is a follow-up question. Pause the production. Okay. Back to R&D. I think if you're doing well on Facebook and Instagram, it's not a problem for you to continue on doing Facebook and Instagram. But I would always say that your website is super duper important because Facebook could just snap its fingers and remove your Facebook page. And it happened. It happened to some people I know and to some clients that we have served. Thankfully, we were not doing the Facebook, but we were doing the website and SEO, and they lost their Facebook page just because of some guidelines that they crossed, or just because they were reported by some anonymous person, and the reason was not even real. So they're losing and bleeding business just because Facebook suddenly decided to put down their Facebook page. And Instagram is owned by Facebook and operates in pretty much the same way. When they think they should suspend your page for a while, and that while could be like a day to a month, right? And you lose a lot of business and money during that time. Then you just can't do anything about it. This is why I say having a website is extremely critical, especially nowadays, because that website is controlled by you. Facebook and Instagram can't just snap its fingers and remove your website. Also, a lot of people are searching in Google when they're considering buying your stuff. They don't really search it on Facebook or Instagram. They search it on Google. Like, what's the price? Do you have competitors? What's their price? What's the difference between the both of you? We call that the consideration stage. And when people are considering buying a certain product from you, they search it in Google. And if your website isn't there, and if the answers aren't on your website, then that's going to make it very difficult for you to convert those people to your customers or your clients. They're probably going to get it from your competition. That's not going to be healthy for you. So yeah, definitely, I'd say have your own website on top of the Facebook and Instagram that you have already. Question from Frio. Sorry if I'm butchering your name. I don't know how to pronounce this, but again, thank you so much for being here. My e-commerce business is a commodity selling replica products. That's a 6-figure profit. And I'm overthinking if I should switch to my own brand, like getting incorporated. I'd say 100%. I support you in switching your own brand. Having a very good, strong brand is the key to higher profit margins. And if you're a businessman, that means a lot to you, to your team, and to the economy. If you're making money, you're creating jobs. If you're creating jobs, you're creating spending power for the economy. You're helping money to move around. You're helping people's lives to be uplifted as well. So I'm all for getting your own brand. I'd encourage it 100%, but take it with a grain of salt. I don't know where you are. I don't know what you really do exactly. I'd love to talk with you on Clubhouse. If you're not there, the link is leadme.ph/club. You can join me there after the show and we could talk about it. I could give you my personal insights on the business, and we could talk about it there further. But yeah, with SEO Hacker, I made sure to have our brand. We spend a lot to make sure that our brand is remembered, it's consistent, it does what it's supposed to do, it does what it has promised to do. which is make sure that our clients get page one rankings and they get a lot of ROI, because when people search for their product or service, they're on the first 3, 4, 5 spots in Google, which is really, really good. And that's how people got to know SEO Hacker. So people who are really looking for SEO companies here to serve them, a lot of them really approach me, and we do work for them. So that's what branding does. It helps you to generate more revenue. It also helps you define what your business is, what your unique selling proposition is, what separates you from competition, which I think is very, very important as a business owner and as a marketer. I'm a digital marketer, so branding is really important for me. So yeah, hope I answered that question. And before I move forward, I'd just like to remind everyone that we have new episodes in the podcast. So if you haven't checked in again on Spotify, and yeah, just search for the Leadership Stack podcast. We've had over 200 episodes already. The latest one is keeping your ego in check as a leader, which is very, very important, especially if you're a growing company. Ego can get in the way easy. So I couldn't believe it. We're over 200 episodes already. So for those of you who have been following, who've been watching and tuning in, thank you so much for being with me and the Leadership Stack team on this journey of podcasting. We tried it out. We just want to give value to you and pay it forward. We don't make any money from this. We don't have sponsors that pay us money as well. So we would love for you to tune in and share our episodes with friends and family who you think will find value in the stuff that we produce. All right. I think that that is the last question. And we do not have any more questions. So it looks like we are ending a little bit early tonight. Next week, we do have Miss Tony Aquino again as a guest. I know a lot of you have heard her share her insights, and I learned from her as well about finance. And she is on TikTok, which reminds me that we also have our TikTok videos right there. And we don't publish those videos on YouTube or Facebook. So if you want to check out those videos, they're only on TikTok. That's the link. Please do check it out. And if you like it, please follow us there and share it as well. So that is it, guys. For those of you who are here for the first time, know that Leadership Stack is every Thursday, 8 p.m. And you can ask your questions on Discord. You could type in from.sean.c/Discord, which is the rolling banner right there down below, and join the Discord community. The questions are there. You can ask your questions there, and we answer it every Thursday, 8 p.m. Thank you so much for being with me tonight, and I will see you guys next week.